Larry Yatch with SEAL Team Leaders, and I want to give you a really quick lesson here, something that's really going to blow your mind. I want to show you one of the key pieces that is limiting your growth. And this doesn't matter if you're the head of a huge organization. I'm talking about the growth of your organization, or as an individual, the growth of an individual. And this is a critical aspect because it's something that's just not shared on a regular basis. It's not something we talk about. But I want to give you an insight into that one core thing that is limiting your growth. Now, all of us, it doesn't matter if we're on our own or if we're the head of a huge organization, we always get to a point where we just seem to stop and we can't continue growing. And that is always driven by the traumas that you have experienced in your life. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I've never been traumatized, right? I haven't gone to war, I haven't been attacked, I haven't gone through a massive car wreck, any of these big traumas. But that is one of the biggest lies that I believe the community of mental health has done to us, is that conditioned us to believe that trauma is only associated to big, huge events. Now, I will give you that those big, huge events are traumatic, but what's the common thread between all of those things? Going to war, having a massive car wreck, losing someone in a horrible way. The common thread between all those things is the loss of control. When we as human beings perceive that we lose control, we can't control our environment, that's when trauma sets in. And when trauma sets in, the first thing our body and brain is designed to do is to save our lives. Now, ultimately, you've heard me say this many times before, we're just cave people with fancy clothes and nice tools. And in a cave person's life, every trauma, every time that they lost control of their environment, it was life-threatening. So we don't know the difference between a gun being pointed at our face and someone yelling at us. In both of those situations, our mind and body, our endocrine system, all results in the same thing. We go through the same physiological effects. Therefore, we don't know the difference between a life-threatening loss of control and just a perceived loss of control. That's why you physiologically respond to stress the same way as if you actually are at risk, or if you have to go stand on stage and give a speech. So anytime that you're in a situation where you don't have a perception of control of your environment, you're being traumatized. Now, as an entrepreneur and as a leader, as a CEO of a company, how many times are we in situations where we have a perceived loss of control? It seems to be a daily basis. Therefore, most CEOs are traumatized regularly over the course of their career. And so it's those traumas that limit our growth. Now, what trauma is designed to do is to teach us a lesson, right? When we're in a situation where we have a perceived lack of control, the first thing we do, like I said, is save our lives. We're going to react in the way to get through that situation. The second thing our systems are designed to do is learn. And what they learn is, what did I do to get through that perceived loss of control situation, that perceived trauma? Now, that lesson is something that we hold on to. So traumas bring us out of the present moment. They bring us into the past trauma or the future fear that comes from experiencing that trauma and hoping it doesn't happen again. Now, you can tell as an entrepreneur, as a leader, if you're not present in the moment, if you're stuck in the past or worried about the future, it's impossible to make effective choices in the moment. And that's why one of the biggest limiting factors, one of the things that limits the growth of organizations, are going to be the traumas of the leaders of those organizations. One of the biggest limitations for your personal growth and development is going to be the traumas that you're holding on to. And so what I offer you is the opportunity to look back and see where in my history was I in situations, either big events or even repetitive small events over time, where I had a perceived lack of control. And what lessons did I learn in that I'm holding on to today that are taking me out of the present moment, putting me in those past traumas, or putting me into a future fear of those traumas happening again. Now, some of the work that we do that is not very advertised and not something we talk about a lot is we do a lot of trauma work with senior executives. This is our highest touch service. This is something that we do on a very select basis, but it is something that I'm very passionate about, because if it wasn't for all of the individuals that helped me deal with the traumas that I experienced as a SEAL, the traumas I experienced in the hospitals, the injuries, the surgeries, if I wouldn't have had that help getting through that post-traumatic stress, I would not be able to be the man I am today, not only for my wife, for my children, and for my team. And so I really feel passionately about being able to support senior executives that are stuck in these traumas, that are stuck in these limiting beliefs, to be able to support them in that healing. So if you have some massive traumas that you want to deal with, feel free to reach out to us, and on a select basis, we'd love the opportunity to support you in that. But at least now you know what's happening when you're limited. When you're carrying these limited beliefs that are born in these historical traumas that you're just holding on to in the moment, that gives you insight to now start combating them and start letting them go, to start healing. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and the reason to heal so I can become a better leader and serve all of you better. I truly appreciate that, and it has improved every area of my life. So thank you for that. Thank you for giving me a strong purpose, and I love the opportunity to serve you. Remember to hit the subscribe button below to be able to hit that notification bell so you can get these lessons, and make sure to add any comments. I'd love to hear some of the traumas or some of these times where you have been limited in your ability to control your environment and how they're impacting you today. That's the tie that I'd love to see you guys make down below, and I'd love to comment on those. Thank you for supporting us, and we look forward to the opportunity to support you in your growth and healing.